Welcome back, Summoners, to another RiftGuides WildRift video. For today we are going to take a look at the ultimate tier list to climb below Elo in patch 2.6a. This tier list isn't representative of a champion's individual strength. Throughout the creation of this list we have identified a certain issue that came to mind. Enforcing hard to play picks onto players in the lower Elos is something that makes life harder for them, so we took it upon ourselves to make life easier for you. The priority of this list is to rank easy to play champions who are also quite good rather high. Compared to that, we want the harder to play champions, even if they are technically 10 times stronger, a bit lower. Our goal with that is to make you improve and get you slowly accustomed to ranked, as well as giving you the best champions for that specific reason. Also, before we start, the champions inside a tier don't follow a specific order. First up, as per usual, we have the Baron lane. In this lane we have Garen as probably the most relaxing and easy champion any beginner can ask for. He is easy to pilot and very forgiving when it comes to mistakes. Contrary to other bruisers, Garen doesn't focus on itemizing damage. He rather wants to become as tanky as possible. That way he can abuse his high base damage stats while soaking a lot of damage at the same time. But now, let's get to how Garen works as a champion. In lane, you want to play around your Grasp of Undying rune as much as you can. Whenever it's up, you want to move towards the enemy champion and ideally get an auto attack in combination with your first ability in. After that, you can spin around with your third ability for some extra damage while you're trying to mitigate incoming damage with your second ability. The following point is very vital in order to win a lot of trades. You have to identify what the enemy champion can and wants to do. If you understand that, you may use your second ability in the best way possible. That makes it so much easier, trust me. Another thing you have to be aware of is your ultimate ability. Especially if you're running Ignite, your ability to kill enemies is rather high, even if you're some kind of a tank. Hitting someone on 50% with your first ability and Ignite and your ultimate ability almost always guarantees you the kill. And as the game goes on, you also have to grow into your role as a champion. Most of the time you'll rush into the enemy backline to beat up the enemy AD carry who will face serious issues trying to kill you. Your HP bar and tankiness are just too much for an ordinary AD carry to deal with, and therefore it's most of the time a one-sided fight in your favor. And this is the entire climbing tier list for the Baron lane. And before we continue with the video though, here's our question of the day. Would you be interested in seeing a duo climbing series in the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Next up comes the jungle role, and here we have Evelynn for you. This champion is also known as the Demon of Solo Queue, and she haunts every player, be it casual, elite or pro player. The issue with this champion isn't that she's inherently broken in a sense of dealing too much damage. No, the problem with her as a champion comes from a passive ability which lets her enter camouflage after hitting level 5. You might think that this isn't that big of a deal, but putting it into a WildRift context you'll quickly realize the problem. Whenever players in WildRift don't see something, it usually means that it doesn't exist. How else would you explain that people die to the most obvious things in the game, even when pinged out? They just don't care, nor are they aware of what could potentially happen to them. So many times was I forced to witness an enemy jungler leaving a lane just to hide in the fog of war for a few seconds. Those few seconds were enough to convince my laner that entering a fight is a pretty good idea, even though he can't be sure that it's really a 1v1. Obviously the laner died and a few words were visible in chat briefly after. Jungle diff. Was it really jungle diff though? No, he was just really stupid. But exactly that is something you can make use of. Especially with a champion that isn't visible. Play with the enemy's lack of awareness and abuse their mistakes on cooldown. All you have to do for that is power farm to level 5 as fast as possible, which is quite the easy feat on Evelynn. Once you're done with that, go farm some cool as laners. And this is the entire tier list for the jungle role. With the jungle done, we are now moving over to the mid lane. This new addition to the game is super easy to play and always annoying to face. She can clear the first minion wave by 26 seconds and is free to move anywhere she pleases. Therefore leashing the enemy raptors to disrupt the enemy jungle's pathing is quite easy while also being able to pop this crying orb and put down some vision. But all that are just extras. You don't have to do anything apart from spam shoving your lane, looking to help your jungle and scaling. Even if you just sit back and spam your second ability into the wave on cooldown, you're still doing a good job of keeping the enemy occupied. To make sure you're doing it right though, here are a few guidelines. On level 1, skill your second ability. On level 2 your first, and on level 3 your second ability again. You don't really want a spell shield unless you really need it. You're happier with the additional push power. And this is how you push correctly. Make sure that your second ability hits both the caster and melee minions at the same time. When there's a cannon minion in place, it's really important that this minion is tagged by that spell as well. That way your second ability's cooldown is reduced by quite a lot. And please be mindful of your mana pool. You don't have to spam your first ability while hoping you're going to get a hit with it. Manage your mana and focus on pushing the wave. Anything else comes after. And this is the entire climbing tier list for the middle lane. Next up we have Misfortune. She is an easy to play champion that is quite annoying in terms of laning. Her first ability bounces in mysterious ways and will always hit you even if the angle is literally impossible. And exactly that makes her such a nice champion for beginners. She is also quite the different type of an AD carry. She doesn't always need to get herself into the fight to deal damage. Thanks to her ultimate ability, she has quite the range to impact fights from relative safety. Another thing you should also take into consideration is her bonus movement speed. With that, she can travel the map quite fast without losing too much time, which is something very important if you consider the amount of fights that are happening throughout your games. Oh, and did I mention that sometimes the bounce range of her first ability is so massive that you can't even see it on your screen? So whenever you're facing enemies that play with a locked cam, you're going to have an easy time. Just keep on spamming that first ability and the HP bars will slowly but surely fade away. Once they're low enough, you can do whatever you want. And this is our entire climbing tier list for AD carries. Last but not least, we have the support role, and here we have something exotic for you. Rather than featuring a typical enchanter or tank support, we are going to give you a mage. It sounds quite weird and a lot of people are going to hate this, but if you want to climb as a support, you have to either impact the map or kill your laners over and over again. And what champion could be better than this than Brand? His range and damage in lane are quite annoying, and even if you get him killed, he's probably gonna take you down with him. All he has to do for that is spam all of his abilities into your team, and it's very likely that his team is going to win the fight. He just deals too much damage. In lane, he should fish for hits with his second ability. It's easy to hit and deals a lot of extra damage. If that wasn't enough, starting level 2 he's going to put you through quite the misery. On level 3 though, you're up for some real trouble. Being tagged by spells and hit by a full combo featuring Ignite is going to spell your demise. Pick the champion, see how it goes, and let me know. And this is our entire climbing tier list for the support tier. With all that said, we are done for today. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You're very welcome to check out our Patreon, and we're also planning on adding a lot of benefits to the different tiers in the near future. So if you're interested in supporting us, go give it a look and see you soon.